Do you like women's sports? Sports across the gender spectrum? How about you're sick of men's sports? Well, that's what we're here to talk about.
On this show, we work to level the sports coverage across the gender spectrum.
Welcome to Balance Sports.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Jewelz.
Let's get into it.
Hey!
Welcome back to Balance Sports.
Let's start with a BG letter. So she released a letter to the president of the United States.
Is that not where we are? Yeah, reading this from USA Today, it says it's been 138 days since Brittney Griner was detained by the Russian Federal Customs Service. It's time for her to come home. They go on to say that below you can read excerpts of the WNBA star's powerful words. She wrote, "As I sit here in a Russian prison alone with my thoughts and without the protection of my wife, family, friends, Olympic jersey, or any accomplishments, I'm terrified I might be here forever. On the 4th of July, our family normally honors the service of those who fought for our freedom, including my father, who is a Vietnam War veteran. It hurts thinking about how I usually celebrate this day because freedom means something completely different to me this year. I realize you are dealing with so much, but please don't forget about me and the other American detainees. Please do all you can to bring us home. I voted for the first time in 2020, and I voted for you. I believe in you. I still have so much good to do with my freedom that you can help restore. I miss my wife. I miss my family. I miss my teammates. It kills me to know that they are suffering so much right now. I'm grateful for whatever you can do at this moment to get me home."
Insane.
It's kind of incredible to me that someone going through that is like, it kills me to know that they're suffering. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
That speaks to, I think, even her level of empathy to be able to be like, if my loved one was over here, I would just feel so helpless. And so, I'm glad that they shared it with us, the public. You know, it's heartbreaking.
Definitely.
Heartbreaking.
I felt the same. I was like, I'm really grateful that we were able to like see and hear from her in that way, because I feel like we've just been hearing stuff about her, not necessarily from BG's words.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's like this person is literally begging for their life, like their freedom.
I welcome the opportunity to highlight and say things about BG and keep her in the public's eye. And so I'm just really grateful that we can do that here, and the WNBA continues to do that. I think the NBA is doing as well. Like, just keep uplifting her, and I really hope our officials can get her home.
I agree.
Let's get into the basketball of it all, and let's review our pick'em from last week.
Okay.
And talk about how we're doing.
Cue the music. Bam, 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 bam. Last week you were 10-6. That's a great record.
That is not bad.
And there were upsets, like very clear upsets that we'll get into in a second. I was 9-7. So one behind you, and our overall record is very close. You are 36-26. I am 38-24. 2 games difference, and we're well above 500. And for a guessing game, that's pretty good.
An educated guessing game, no?
Oh, definitely educated guessing. Yeah, but then some of these you're like, well, an educated person would have thought that the number 1 team, Las Vegas, would have beaten one of the last place teams, Minnesota. But here we are looking like fools because that was wrong.
Very wrong.
I can't figure out Dallas. There's so many teams I can't figure out. There's a ton of teams that feel like they're floating with that 500 range, but Minnesota, I just thought, had been some of the bottom dwellers in the record for the majority of the season.
No lies.
So
they were. That was the case.
They beat Dallas. Neither one of us picked that game. And then Minnesota beat Las Vegas after that. There might have been a game they played in between. There was. They played Las Vegas twice. Anywho, Minnesota had an interesting week.
They did.
They're a team I would say I was surprised that we picked against, and look at them. I didn't have to. I chose to pick up Mariah Jefferson on my fantasy team because
triple-double, the first triple-double in that franchise's history.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
and
very,
that
very
is
cool.
A team that has Maya Moore on it, who announced today, BT Dubs, me and my husband had a baby in February.
We love secrecy.
Somebody said, I love Maya's current lifestyle. She lives a secret lifestyle, then calls her best friend Robin Roberts to announce huge news that the rest of us foam at the mouth for. I was like, yeah, for sure.
Well,
I'd been just sitting around like, wonder what Maya's up to. Oh, she's been a mother for 4 months. That's crazy.
Congratulations to Maya Moore and family on their new addition.
Uh-huh.
Wow. Okay. Swoops Moore. Like Swin Cash.
Oh, that's cute. Congrats, Maya. Mm-hmm. Please come back. I am really intrigued by every team's placements in the league. Right when you think you got a team figured out, they'll do a backslide on you. New York was not doing super great, won a couple, and it was like, oh, New York's going to separate themselves from the crowd. No, they didn't lose a couple. I feel like multiple teams have been that way.
We have a new leader in the WNBA. The Chicago Sky are now sitting in the number 1 spot because Vegas has had some little trip ups there, which, I mean, I definitely thought they were unstoppable. They were playing unstoppably. Is that a word? Unstoppably? I don't know.
Unstoppably. That's what Brandy's saying, right? I love that we're like, oh, Vegas is slipping. They're 15-6. They are literally a half game behind Chicago. We're just like, what has happened?
They're
I saw
washed
some people
up.
put Las Vegas Aces as 4th on their power ranking.
Stop.
I'm just like, y'all, they have still sure, they've maybe lost 2 or 3 games in the last couple of weeks. They've still lost 6 for the season.
Yeah. Let's get into Vegas. They started out hot. They sustained their hotness.
No, they're not.
Now they are a pile of rubble. The question is,
will Becky get a new outfit?
Now we have committed to this. We've seen it up close and personal.
Whom?
I feel like it looks better.
It did.
It looked better in person.
Yeah.
It did. Will Vegas win the championship?
Oh, wow. Start out with a hard question. I think they'll be in the finals. So they lost to Chicago. They lost to the Mystics. They beat the Sparks. They lost to the Storm. And they lost to the Lynx. So they are 2 wins, 3 losses in the last 5 games. 3 of their 6 losses have come in the last 5 games. I am going to say these girls tired and really need All-Star break. Unfortunately, half their team's playing in that All-Star break. I don't know how much of a rest they can get, but we've talked about they're a team that doesn't really play a ton of their bench, and I'm wondering how much of this could be contributed to tired legs.
They have 4 All-Stars who are not going to get a break. All-Star break is, for those participating in it, not a break at all. Yes, it's fun. No one's playing defense, but you still, you're putting on a show, and so you're also hanging out, having fun, and not relaxing.
Media, I'm sure you're doing a ton of media things, busy most of the days. Yeah, it's not
a
just
break.
hanging out around the pool. Who would you place above them? That's what I think in a matchup with Seattle, I think they would be okay. I think that would be a really tough series, but I could see them coming away with that. And in Connecticut, I think that would be really tough, but I would take Vegas's guards over it. I mean, I don't think it can just be contributed to tired legs. They got beat yesterday by 30 by Minnesota. So some games you're tired, and that's not great.
Who are their bench players?
Exactly.
That's what I mean. You know what I mean?
Kirsten Bell, Sydney Colson. They almost feel kind of set up as the Storm do, that when a lot of their key cogs on offense go off, it just becomes a little stagnant, or you're looking around wondering what's going to happen, and that they need a couple of these starters in with their bench players, which that's fine. Not a ton of teams always sub 5 in, 5 out. That's almost impossible to do in any league. But it feels reliant at times on Kelsey, Jackie, Asia. Although Chelsea Gray had a great game this week.
In the 30-point loss.
A great game this week.
A great individual effort. Just to be clear, I think they could still win a championship. I think but I also think that about a lot of teams. I think you could. Will they? Okay. So the fan in me wants to say yes, because I root for Aisha Wilson and I want her to win a championship.
Okay.
They haven't gotten to this point without their bench. So whatever their bench is doing has gotten them to the second spot, 1 game, half a game behind. So yeah, they can do it.
Convinced. I'm sold. I'm buying stock today. If I'm a gambling man, get it, Vegas. I want to ask, I feel like there were tiers in the WNBA, and I, in my mind, had Chicago, Vegas, and then I had probably us, Connecticut, and Washington, and then a jumble. Would you still say that, or do you feel like 1 through 4 is kind of in the same tier right now, or do you still kind of have a hierarchy there that feels pretty clear in your mind?
I feel like 1 and 2 are on a different level. I
Okay,
feel like Chicago, even though I just said all that stuff about Vegas, I still feel like I feel confident that the game back from the All-Star game, they're going to win. I don't even know who they're playing. They're going to win. That's how I feel about Vegas.
I agree.
But then when we go to playoffs, I can't ignore the 5 games they just dropped. And now they need to, as athletes, it's like, whatever, put that in the past. But, me as someone looking at this saying that a 30-game loss is inexcusable.
Yeah, you would like to think a championship contender, even in the games they get beat, they're still keeping it competitive, or there's this like certain championship mentality, you might want to say. Not there in a 30-point loss to Minnesota.
It's not.
It's not.
And hopefully, maybe, it's just a blip on the schedule, and that'll, they put it in the past, they move past it, never happens again. Let's hope.
Let's hope.
Let's hope.
I would love to talk about who we think would make the playoffs and do kind of a playoff prediction. Let's break down who we think the 2 teams will be that will not make the playoffs.
Okay.
We're looking up. I could not find a way to find the strength of schedule predictability for this. If someone knows, please like, subscribe, comment.
I do not think we will be seeing the Indiana Fever. Shocking, I know. This year, I think they've been a very fun team. Lots of energy. They have some future stars on that team. Okay. My second team.
1, 2, 3, Minnesota.
I'm battling with myself between people can come back and they can have a surge and da-da-da-da. And I don't just want to go with the numbers of here, but what I've been watching, I don't think they could. No, I don't think they could overcome at all.
Yeah, this shows 30% chance to make the playoffs, and it shows them being third to last. But it only has them out of the playoffs by a game. Still really close. A lot of these teams are close. That's why we're doing this.
Yeah.
But I still think Minnesota just has a lot to overcome. And
sorry, Sil. Sorry.
We'd love to see in the playoffs, but I don't know. Mariah Jefferson is hooping Kayla McBride. Aerial Powers went off the other day on that nationally televised game. 32 points, I believe.
Aerial Powers did do that. She's just, man, it's sometimes irritating to watch her play, quite frankly.
Hot take o'clock.
There's a fine line between being entertaining and being annoying. You disagree?
Skylar Diggins-Smith has entered the group chat. I don't disagree at all. And I think a lot of people know what you mean.
Yeah. At the same time, I do think she adds something. Even having people talk about it is a good thing, right? It's if people were complaining about it, it's like a no publicity is bad publicity kind of deal. So I get it. I like that not everyone plays like that, because you know what? We all know, president of the As You Stand fan club, when she makes a block, when she does anything, stone cold, and not in a stone cold killer way. It's
yeah, I just do that.
It's give me something to be did it, or give me something. She gives nothing, and that's not super entertaining to there's a delicate balance. She's focused, as he's focused on getting better, and she's, young or whatever. But
what do you think Ariel's focused on?
I think some of it is entertaining for her. You know what I mean? This is her way of entertaining the fan. I'm sure the Minnesota fans love it. I'm not a Minnesota fan, so I love it less.
Bad press is still press.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that Aerial Powers is bad press, but I think she is a very lover, a hitter player. I think she's very much, if she's on your team, you're thank goodness she's on my team, because otherwise she'd drive me kind of crazy.
Right.
It's a Pat Bev for me.
Yes.
And I think she kind of gives that energy of, she scored 32 points. She's fantastic.
Do you boo? Yeah.
I still think she thinks she's one of the top 5 girls in this league, and she's not there yet. There's so much time for her to become. Watching her, she thinks she is. And so you either love that or you hate that. And she is so entertaining.
Which I think you need to be. I think there is a level of delusion that every professional athlete has to have of
Totally.
I am the best. I don't, because you're going up against the best. So you need to keep gassing yourself up. And I get it. But she ain't on my team, so
I love how fired up she gets. I mean, I think I'm one of those people that just chooses to laugh through it. Yeah. I think it's just incredibly passionate, and yeah, it's not my team, but I can always appreciate when watching her, how hard she's going and how hard she is gonna make that shot.
I will say this, all of my whatever, I think she's good for basketball. I think the fact that she's giving energy and faces and emotion. I think that's good for the WNBA.
I love her. Okay, I'm going to go on my next two. I'm just going to say it with my chest. Dallas and Phoenix are not going to make the playoffs. Dallas right now is currently in 8th. They're 9-12. And Phoenix is 9-14. In Phoenix's case, I just don't think they have the roster. I think that they've just been decimated with the BG stuff. With
Rashonda Gray fans, hold off.
Do you see she changed her hair? They were like, we should start a campaign to get her to change her hair.
They did not start a campaign. Are you kidding me?
They were like, New City.
Who's they?
The Phoenix Mercury Twitter account, which we will get to you in a moment, tweeted, New City, can we get some new hair? Because Rashonda Gray's hair was
green from Seattle. Are you kidding me?
And she got purple hair.
There is somebody behind that social media. Why didn't you just say something to her? Why the heck would you put that on the internet? That's such a weird choice.
Let's talk about some other choices in Phoenix.
We'll get to it. Okay, so you're picking Phoenix and Dallas to not make the playoffs.
Yeah,
okay.
Dallas, I've heard a lot of kind of chatter on the interwebs about some not happiness.
Okay.
Shall we say not happiness?
Who's not happy
some
in Dallas?
Unrest in Dallas. A fan tweeted, why does the Dallas coach keep taking out Isabel Harris? It makes no sense. Isabel Harris responded to that tweet and said, when you find out, let me know. Enrique has been seen on multiple occasions kind of getting into it and saying snippy things to the coach. They have Marina Maybury on that team. Satu Sabali has been kind of injured.
In and out, yeah.
Alicia Gray has recently missed some games, and she was playing really well, so I don't know. I also think that they have a couple post players on there that I think they're just trying to figure out the rotations. It's not mathing to me for them to make the playoffs.
Okay, all right. I am going to select Los Angeles Sparks and Dallas as well. Yeah. Echo everything you said with Dallas. For Los Angeles, I just feel like they're just going to implode. Like, I feel like
I just, in all things NECA believe in. I'm like, she can get new CBAs. Surely she can drag this team to the playoffs. She's having an incredible season.
She is, but I don't think she can do the LeBron feat of like dragging the Cavs. Like, I think she needs a Kyrie.
Did you just call Liz Campage a Cav?
I think she needs a little bit more help, and I don't think it's there.
Okay, I mean, it does make a lot of sense to me. We'll see. Playoffs are just around the corner. We're at the All-Star break next week. After this week of games, then All-Star break, where we're going to be reporting live from here.
So let's get into Storm news.
Stews. Okay, well, what a week.
What a week. Big win against the Aces. A handling of Indiana. And then they got handed the biggest L from the Atlanta Dream. Like, that was embarrassing. Oh my gosh. Jewel Lloyd tweeted and put on Instagram after the game the like melty face emoji.
That's a good one. I enjoyed that one.
It was. Yeah, and so it was just like, let's just move on. That's how it feels like. Let's just move on. We don't need to like dwell here.
Yeah, that kind of showed me that the Storm are not going to be a great team playing from behind. I feel like moving forward, they already struggle. I think they're maybe 9th in offensive rating. And so they were behind 32-18. And I think that the pressure of maybe having to like come from behind in that, I don't know, but that feels like that was a big hole to climb out of. They clearly did not do it. But interesting thing has been, I feel like how Tina's been playing, because it hasn't, I don't know if it's maybe needing to utilize her more, her still getting acclimated to the offense and stuff. She's having impacts in other ways, but she's certainly not scoring at the clip that she was accustomed to in Phoenix this year.
Yeah. I don't think we have enough sample size. Coach Quinn will repeatedly say, we don't have any practice time. Right now they're on the road. They're travel, game. Like, that's what's going to happen for the next 3 games. I think it'll take a couple of weeks to really get her integrated and figure it out.
Through 3 games so far, Tina's averaging 16.7 minutes, 5 points and 5 rebounds. Coming in, I believe she was averaging almost 17. I think it was like 16 and a half points and close to 7 rebounds. So that's a big drop off, but I know she was playing a lot, at least 10 more minutes as well.
Yeah.
And coach has been really honest too about not wanting to take minutes away from Ezzy. Ezzy's still averaging 29.2 points per game. That's third most on the team. So
this is, I mean, that's what we said when she first got here, was like, if you're looking for a bigger role, it's not here. Like, it sounds so dramatic. I'm like, we have an emerging star here in Seattle. I don't think that's hyperbolic. I think that's true, and I think it would dramatically hurt her her growth by keeping Ezzy off the floor.
yeah, this is actually really kind of startling to me looking at just the points per game on this team, just that statistic alone. So you have Brianna Stewart with 21.3 points per game. That's, I think, leading the league. I need to go double check that. Jewel Lloyd has 16 points per game. Ezzy has 11.7, so almost 12. No one else has double digits on that team. We were looking when we checked when the Aces came to town, and all of their players averaged double figures. After that, Sue scores 8.7.
Sue's got to be like 9 or something.
Yeah, 8.7. Okay, yeah. But this is kind of what we were talking about the other day when Talbot had that really great game. She scored 15, and I think Gabby Williams had 4. I think if you can get a 15 to 20 point per game combined from those two, that's incredibly helpful. Right now, they're getting 6 and 5. Like 11 points a game. And that, again, doesn't sound like a huge jump, but 6 or 8 points more from those two would be a big difference. So I don't know what it is, just getting like everyone on the same page, but I don't feel like the Storm, besides a game against the Vegas Aces, I don't think the Storm have had a game where they've had more than 2 players on the same night at all. So that's, I think, a little reassuring in that sense of I don't know if they've played their best game yet. Certainly not consecutively have they played their best games. It's also startling when you say that and you think, well, we're over halfway through the season. What's not clicking? Their record's still really good, but I don't know. I'm wondering if there's going to be so many teams this year that feel like Chicago last year, where you see them the whole year and you're like, they have this ability certainly to be a championship contender. Look at the roster. Look at who they have and the experience. I'm wondering if it, is just going to come down to playoff matchups and who's on at the right time. But
yeah, I think everyone in the league is kind of hanging their hat on. Chicago did it last year. Like, we could be Chicago this year. It just depends on the night, which I don't know if that's such a great strategy. Like,
no, it's certainly not.
That's not the level of confidence that I would want playing. Like, I would want to feel like we are that team.
Right now, do the Storm make the finals?
Oh, the finals.
Do they make the finals?
No.
Talissa, you heard it here first.
Don't you dare go talk to my bestie. It's Vegas. I don't think we can get past Vegas in a 5-game series.
Or Chicago.
So since we're talking about the playoffs, let's talk about the new playoff format.
So we've had single elimination for the longest times, which has been really shitty because you have teams that have had incredible seasons and they could just have an off night and they're gone.
Yeah.
A 3 seed could be gone in one game, which was just kind of startling. So now we're still keeping the same 1 through the top 8 teams in the league, regardless of conference. But starting in round 1, you'll have 1 versus 8. The 1 and 2, I know we're getting a couple of buys. You'll have 1 versus 8, and every round now is a series.
Nice.
Which is going to be incredible. So the first round is a best of 3 series. The semifinals will be best of 5. And then the WNBA finals will be a best of 5 series.
Why don't we have a 7-game series?
I don't think it would be fair at all to have to travel on commercial airlines for a 7-game series across country. No.
Yeah.
So I think until you get some of that stuff figured out, that these series are in a great little sweet spot.
Yeah. A commercial flight for a standard 5-6 frame is uncomfortable. They have much larger frames than that. And how many flights get canceled or like delayed? And so they're like, their sleep schedule and all of that like really plays into it. Not to mention like the water retention and achiness of simply flying. Like, it's not a comfortable experience when you're flying commercially, period. So yeah, I totally agree.
They've had teams before, that have had these terrible travel experiences where they've delayed or canceled games. And I'm thinking, have you ever done a really challenging workout and then you got on a plane and you're like, shoot, I shouldn't have done that because your body's really sore or stiff.
Right.
Oh, well, these players are playing full basketball games every night, then sometimes rushing to get onto a plane after the game to take red eyes back. You're, like you said, it's hard to travel. But then after you do a hard workout like that, I just think these players, you're not on luxury planes and able to phone roll and get
all the recovery and the
stuff you need. You are crammed into these economy seats, mama.
Yeah.
It's a no for me.
Definitely.
Let's keep them where they're at. In fact, let's make everyone play. I wish they would do more of the bubble. Imagine being a fan and you could go watch for like 3 weeks to a month. I'm not sure how long the playoffs take.
Sure. That would be
one spot.
Awesome.
I kind of love that idea.
That would be really awesome.
They pick a fun city. That way all the
This
players
is where
can
the
be chilling.
playoffs are.
All fun. Hawaii every year.
So Stewie got Western Conference Player of the Month.
Sabrina Ionescu was the player of the month for the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Stewie's numbers in the month of June were 22 points per game, 7.6 rebound, 3.2 assist. MVP numbers, methinks.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I've seen a lot of people talking about it. She is at the top of a lot of people's lists for MVP. You think yay? You think nay?
My only hesitation
is Asia Wilson.
And the fact that
your best friends?
Bestie. And the fact that like she has led her team to be as high as they are. Like they just got pushed out of the number 1 spot. We haven't, the Seattle Storm has not sniffed near the top.
We're 2 games from them.
We just got there. Like
they just got down here. So what do you have to say? Wait, though, they're only 2 games apart, and Stewie's numbers are
better. Yeah.
Not majorly.
That's
in fact, I would probably say Asia's beating her in rebounds per game. Definitely, right?
What does it say? Our media vote for MVP is, to full-throatedly say,
let me see how many points per game Asia Wilson. Asia Wilson is averaging. I'm going to do a quick comparison.
Yes.
We'll have it right here.
Yes,
you have to vote as well. Brianna Stewart 21.3, Asia Wilson 18. Brianna Stewart 44.6%, Asia Wilson 48.6. Very, very close. Their 3-point percentage is actually very close as well. Getting all the way over to rebounds. Asia Wilson has 10.1 per game. Stewie has 7.4. Stewie has almost 3 assist point games. She has 2.9. Asia Wilson has 1.6. Stewie leads the league with 2.1 blocks per game. Steals per game. 2.1 steals per game. Asia Wilson has 1 steal per game. Blocks, Asia Wilson has 2.2. Stewie has 1. Player efficiency, Stewie has 23.8. Asia Wilson has 23.1. You cannot get closer. So
this is such a close race. Is there anything else? What all factors into it? Are we missing anything else? Like, is it just the numbers?
I really think you kind of hit the nail on the head a moment ago. You sort of had to factor in their records.
Are you ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. Asia. Yeah. You said yours really light.
I did because we work for Seattle. 1, 2, Seattle. Y'all saw that edit. I think that they're going to end up with a better record, and if their numbers stayed the same like that, I would give it to the player who
got their team
a little bit further and higher. And I think what Stewie does for Seattle is, if she's not doing that for that team,
who are we?
You could absolutely say the same, but I feel like still have the offense that would chug, and they could plug someone in.
Yeah.
Jewel Lloyd is an all-star. Sue is voted in honorarily. I'm just gonna. She's not this year.
She's not, but she's still a legend of the game, and so she's Sue Bird. Like, come on.
Absolutely, you can't take away all those intangibles. Exactly. However, if we're talking about statistics and MVP of it all,
yeah, I think it's
going
a
with
slight
Asia.
edge to Asia because the team is doing better, and that should matter.
You know what? Really great to you, WNBA fans, for voting them 1 and 2 in the All-Star. Should be the 1 and 2 players. Honestly, they are so fun and personable. We were watching it, and it was just like, these are people, like, more of these guys. They they have very great personalities.
Yes.
I think they're very willing to lead the league.
They were very entertaining and just showed their personalities a lot during the All-Star selection. It was a really fun watch.
Clearly have the hoops to back it up.
Yes. Shall we move on to pick 'em?
Let's do it. We have Tuesday's game, Seattle Storm versus Indiana Fever. 1, 2, 3, Storm. We have the Connecticut Sun versus the Dallas Wings. Sun. On Wednesday, we have the Chicago Sky versus the upticking Minnesota Lynx.
Sky.
Sorry, Lynx. Keep ticking, honey. We have the Washington Mystics versus the Atlanta Dream. Tricky. They are resting Elena Delle Donne through the All-Star break, so she will not be playing in this game.
Dream.
Whoa, I love that for us. Oh, I kind of want to mix it up just because, but I need the record. New York Liberty versus the Las Vegas Aces.
Aces.
Thursday, we have the Chicago Sky versus the Indiana Fever. Sky. Next, we will have the New York Liberty versus the Phoenix Mercury. Liberty. We have the Seattle Storm versus the Los Angeles Sparks. This will be the last game played in the entire WNBA before the All-Star break.
Storm.
Sorry, Los Angeles. You're going on to long break. You'll figure it out, I'm sure. I say that and watch World lose. And then I'll be like, it's actually us going into the break with an L.
For this week's Fight Me, we will be discussing which WNBA uniform slays. Are there any criteria?
Like just our favorite jersey in the league.
I feel like now that the team that we cover has seen and played all teams, all are on the table.
Okay, I love that. You have two finalists.
Two finalists.
They're playing in the WNBA finals for jerseys. I don't know why we don't have Liz in for this episode.
Right. How dare they not ask me?
I can't believe they didn't ask the
this
biggest
is the
fan.
one thing I wanted to contribute. My top two selections are in fact the Chicago Pinstripe and the Indiana Fever like Stranger Things one.
Really?
Yeah.
You like those?
I do. It's really fun. It's really like, I feel like when you think about old school jerseys, like you look at them, you're like, yeah, that's from the 90s. Or like, oh, that's from, that era. I feel like when we look back on that, like, oh yeah, that show that like everybody was into, it feels like you get it. And so, yeah, I think it's super like timely and it works and I like it a lot. Yeah. And then I like the classic, like pinstripe, Chicago, White Sox. Like I like that.
Yeah.
Or was it Cubs? Sorry, Chicago. I don't know.
You Chicago fans.
One of them teams. You know which one.
Y'all got it. Okay, I'm going to jump into the Las Vegas Aces jerseys. We saw them play here, and I thought the color of red that they chose popped.
Yes.
The gold highlight, I don't feel like a ton of teams have gold in their colors that way. It feels... I will never forget that after the Mavericks won the NBA Finals, they put out a jersey and everywhere it was supposed to be blue, it would be gold. So they did that as like a celebration of winning.
Right.
And all tea, all shade, they haven't won yet in Vegas, but these make me think that they're going to win soon.
Yeah.
Like gold on a jersey just tells me you're winning.
Yes. I mean, I think that is one of their colors. But it's the Las Vegas of it. The, gambling, the monies,
the showmanship.
Exactly. Yeah. Those are some very vibrant, but not in like a way, like a good red. It was a deep like red. Right?
That red. It was exactly that
That's
red.
what it says Crayola on the box.
My other favorite is going to be the Atlanta Dream. I only did that because just to highlight another team, it's probably Chicago. But Atlanta has really fun jerseys. I think their court is really interesting. I think they're really doing it. Charcoal, it's a great color of blue. I don't know. I enjoy it. But honestly, it's going to be Chicago.
It's really nice.
Chicago's
that pinstripe is nice.
Man.
It's
okay,
nice.
So Chicago, you are going to win the league and the Fashion Police episode.
For Balance Sports, I'm Jewelz.
I'm Hunter. A single mom who works 2 jobs.
Who loves her kids and never stops. I fucking love that show.
She ate on that theme song. I tell you what, Barbara Dreene is me.